Now it is my great honor to introduce Mr. Antoni Przechrzta, Master of Arts, Director of the Institute for Realization of the Self-Involved Soul, founder and chair of the Polish Association of Spiritual Healers, internationally recognized instructor of certified spiritual healing courses. Please welcome, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Dzień dobry. Thank you for a beautiful introduction. Thank you for inviting me for this wonderful congress, which I think is the best congress in complementary and conventional medicine in the whole world. I thank you, Thomas. I thank Thomas Pfeiffer, President of the World Congress, for running this for so many years with a great success. In addition to practice and teaching of healing, I have been devoting substantial time and effort to examining and promoting the interaction between Orthodox medicine and the fields of complementary and alternative medicine, with a focus on their potential for integration and mutual enrichment. At the same time, I aim to highlight the obstacles and barriers that must be addressed in order to make such collaboration possible. With a great respect, I've heard the previous lecture of Diana Miller. She is such a wonderful person who has helped so many people practicing a slightly non-strict conventional medicine, which is seen by some laws as the only possible, regardless whether someone will live or will die. So thank you very much, Diana Miller, for your contribution. So in Poland, complementary and alternative medicine was historically practiced openly and coexisting with academic medicine. So acupuncture was taught, herbalism with very famous professor with a great contribution, and also there were symposiums of somatherapy and psychosomatic education. The word is used, psychosomatic education, not to be blamed for curing people, and so it's not psychosomatic medicine. But it was this movement was run by the Jagiellonian University Medical Academy in Krakow under leadership of Professor Marzena Magdoń. These European symposiums, in 1990 there were already 15, so you can imagine how early they have started. I was invited as a representative of spiritual healing to speak at the conferences, mainly because before I worked in England, in London, I used to teach medical students in this program of complementary medicine, introduction. So we've already had regulations from 1954 from Harry Edwards, Code of Conduct, so we were ready to actually to collaborate with the main system of medicine. So at the same time, when all these professors were organizing congresses on where there were ideas of joining these both sides of medicine, it just happened that the professor of cardiology became for 2 years, almost 2 years, became a minister of health, and he enabled to create such a order to create a council for non-conventional methods of therapy. 2002, it was quite early actually for what's happening at the moment. What doesn't mean that today we're in a better solution, because if we've already had in 2002 such a commission which aim was to bring on central regulations, to bring all the complementary therapists in order to work as a holistic medicine. it didn't last very long because, but in meantime, it didn't last very long because after the professor was removed from being a minister, there was another minister of health who stopped this idea of working towards holistic medicine in mainstream. After that, there was a minister who was the head of doctors' organizations who said that as long as he is a minister of health, he will not allow anything which is not the mainstream medicine, because every area of that medicine is really bad and very dangerous. So I asked him in the parliament to give some evidence for that, because I had a lot of evidence that such a medicine is very helpful. And you see, there's a book which I understand is one of the best books ever printed, ever published on complementary medicine. I don't know how many of you are familiar with this book. It was issued published in 1999 and published in Polish a year later. And it contains most of the areas of complementary and alternative medicine. Also, it contains social scientific foundation, safety, and overviews, and at that time, scientific evidence which was available at that time. By now, when 2 years ago I was preparing material for previous Congress, I thought that I have read the material, but when I looked into internet, then it looks there were thousands, if not millions more research and published, and far more evidence. But obviously the Chamber of Medical Doctors say that they are only respecting evidence-based medicine in the meaning what they mean is the evidence-based medicine. And still the same sort of mantra goes on, regardless of how many very good research we would be showing them. Looking through, because it's about 30 years of my practice as a spiritual healer, I started practicing in the UK, and my idea was to bring spiritual healing to Poland and mainly to fuse with the public health service, and still it is the idea somewhere. After I could notice that after Poland was joining EU, they started such a business, propaganda, paying, giving some money to doctors in order to prescribe drugs which were allowed, and then if you wanted to bring Polish drugs which already existed, Polish medicines into the system in Poland, then it cost quite a lot in order to go through the commission which would allow it. And so in that time, I would say, it started such a situation when unfortunately we had more, up to today we have a lot of adverts on television. For instance, take this drug for headache, for 24 hours you won't feel a pain. Imagine how dangerous it is to take in stroke and other illnesses, to take a drug, and it's fully there in mainstream televisions. And even if there were some private televisions, now we were discussing whether they could remove these adverts, but they need to survive. It means they need to promote killing in order to survive, to do good things. It's really strange. And so I've noticed that from that time, 2004, the things became more difficult. We managed, I managed to speak to a number of ministers, vice ministers, and different bodies, institutions, in order to bring together the idea of holistic healing or holistic medicine. And I must say that we couldn't, up to today, manage because of different sort of difficulties. So in Poland, complementary medicine developed within the frame of craft guilds, professional associations. For instance, 17 years ago, we've set up a Polish Association of Spiritual Healers, which exists on a very similar basis like the one existing in the UK. But in the UK, it's written in the law that the doctors can employ healers, that the National Health Service can pay for the services and so on. Unfortunately, in Poland, we could still practice. Up to now, we can still practice, but this area was never defined, because when the commission was created, very good structure was set up, and we were going to be, well, one of the first areas to practice officially in the hospitals. But because we don't touch, we had code of conduct, we have proper training, which was approved in other European countries. So it was very green. We had a lot of green light to go along and do it. But unfortunately, after these changes, such a trend came out in the media, this corporational media, and in these institutions of medical profession, leading up to now to some kind of proposition for law that everyone, including medical doctors or professors or people who don't have education in medicine, if they practice anything to do with medicine, they're called charlatans, and they can pay fines up to 250,000 euros for practicing. In fact, many doctors were sentenced by the court, by the medical court, and they can't practice, professors, because they had new discoveries which led to real cure and were not very harming the body and the human being. So, however, like in the times of pandemia, so-called, the World Health Organization was quoted very often by those organizations in Poland, by ministry. They were imposing a lot of limitations and treatments. They're refusing treatments for a lot of illnesses because someone could have had COVID. And they were saying the World Health Organization says we should do it. In some way, a really strange way, in Poland, all the written statements from the previous strategy of World Health Organization or the current proposal are not mentioned. Whenever we talk about it, they don't want to take any discussion, and it always finishes that we are doing evidence-based medicine, and there's only one medicine. Was it so fast? I didn't even start yet. So you can see 114 doctors are already on the trial by medical courts because they were saying that COVID-19 vaccines are dangerous and we have to do it in a different way. We've been doing, just to say what we have been doing in order to do some good things. Then we've organized private conferences, independent from the institutions, different holistic medicine meetings where thousands of people were coming. Please give me 2 more minutes. And that was one thing. Another thing, that we took part in different conferences which were organized by pharmaceutical companies, giving them not very convenient questions. And at the moment, we had to oppose, you see, Lex Charlatan proposition, which is going to exclude everyone who is not very obedient to the corporations of medicine, and they are practicing anything which is not, they're not medical doctors. And so we as the Association of Spiritual Healers protested. We sent an official letter to the Ministry of Health, and there was a little chance that the classification of business activities code was changed from the Polish one to European, and which is code like in every other European country, which gives the right to practice for the complementary medicine. But then the people from the medical council say, oh, it's very good when they will be registered, because then we can know how many of them, and we will know how to find them. So unfortunately, the conclusions are that we still need to work, and I hope that the new generation will take also some activities, because in a way there's a lot to be done, and we can't do it separately. If we've done it for 20, 30 years, then now is the time to some young people to do some job as well. Thank you very much for listening, and hope we can join together with the ideas. I really appreciate that we can talk, and then we can embody lots of good activities which will change our medicine so we can be healthy. We can live without the drugs. Is it legal? I hope so. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.